if you're talking about the big sporting events, it might even supersede a North American event because it's kind of a world event when you think about it, even though not necessarily international field. But I'm saying of the big sporting events that happen in the world, there's no question the Kentucky Derby, which is why it's usually a bucket list item for a lot of people. And so it also means in Canada, we talked about it. I mean, in my household, my mom, she loved the Kentucky Derby, and it usually meant kind of the start of summer. Like stuff was just starting to turn over, where you were starting to see here in Canada that we were going to get a life. We were going to get back to normal. Does it mean that now? I think a little bit. I think there are certain events that do inspire people. That it's not just about, because you see, it's not just about the winning. For most people who are not wagering on this, it's still a magnificent event. And that's how you know it kind of supersedes sports a little bit. It does give people hope. Now, I'm not sure what the crowds look like. Like I assume, because in the States, almost, my God, almost over a quarter of them are all fully vaccinated, and we see what happens in some of the sporting events. So I'm not sure about the crowds, but I think you'll see some hats. I think you'll see some tradition, and it is tradition actually on this show to have our very good friend, our fratello, Tony Lucisano, who's done great over the years. I think it was the I'll have another moment when it's like, when Luch is like, thinking of Richards. I wonder what horse he'd like. Oh, I know. I'll have another. And it worked out. And now we have our very good friend, our fratello, Tony Lucisano. Good morning. Luch, buongiorno.
Buongiorno, boys. Can you believe that was 9 years ago?
I know, that's weird when I thought about it.
2012. That was a long time ago, and it seemed like it was yesterday.
I know.
Right? And it's incredible how time's flying by. But yeah, it's a big weekend, no question about it, with our Derby picks and 20 horses again, which is just basically the crapshoot of crapshoots, as you guys know. I mean, if it's a 10-horse race, you could sit there and go, okay, we'll see what happens. You can handicap it pretty good, but with 20 horses, the trip is going to make the race, no question about it. So that's
so what's the number? What is the number from 10 to 20? What's the number that you want to see? What do you think a perfect number is?
And to get some payoffs as well, like to make some money, probably 12 to 14.
12 to 14. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Anything less than 10, it's tough to make really good money at. But these are the kind of races where you're going to get some horses that are half decent, 15, 20 to 1, 30 to 1, that, you know what, they could come in because they're all quality horses. Now, yes, some owners put them in for the prestige, but there's some great long shots. And I've been looking at this. I've been racking my head around all night looking, okay, where's the play here, right? And there's a bunch of horses that I like. And then there's, the favorite essential quality. You're going to be tough to go against them at 2 to 1. Do I think he'll go off at 2 to 1? I think he might come up a little bit, but it's still going to be short odds, right? And as you guys know, my motto, I come here to beat the favorites, not bet the favorites.
Right, yeah, right. Exactly. So go ahead, Dave.
He's starting from the 14th position. Is when you look at that, because I know we've talked to other people in the past, it seems like it's a little high on the grid. You kind of want it a little bit lower, Lucc. Is that going to affect him at all? Maybe possibly get pushed up, because as you know, with the 20-horse field, you release the gates and there's a little bit of a traffic jam right off the top.
Right. And the key is when you say, I mean, he's in the 14 hole, that's way out there. But again, it's 1.25 miles. And if he gets pinched back, he's going to have a hard time. I mean, in the juvenile, he got out quick. When he won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, he got out quick. He got to the lead, and he pretty much was comfortable up there. If he gets uncomfortable, in other words, he's going to probably get knocked around a little bit, because he's got some from hole 16, 15, himself at 14, 13. Those are speed horses. So they're going to try to get out there and jockey, because if they don't get up there close and they get pinched back, that battle coming around the corner is going to be tough to make up those lengths, because you're going to be pushed outside, and it's going to be literally a free-for-all to try to get to the wire.
Now, if you're looking at the lead-up races, you're looking at New Orleans and some of the other races that you can kind of gauge. So coming out of that, when you are handicapping, for instance, what you're going to tell us in some moments here, What are the things that you look at that for instance, in the
Well,
Derby?
you look at where, were they the favorite in that race, like the Bluegrass, the Louisiana Derby, the Florida Derby? Were they the favorite? What kind of trip did they have? And I'll go back and watch a few of those races. And is there something there? Does the horse have a good turn of foot? I know one of the horses Dave mentioned, Obezos, which I really like coming late. If he can stalk, if he's within, I'm going to say 8-9 lengths off the pace as they're just passing the halfway mark, he's got a great, what they call a turn of foot, and he can turn it on. He's got a late kick, and he's one of the horses that I would definitely watch for late, because him and Mandolin is another one of those horses that have that late kick that will be flying down the stretch. As long as the conditions are great and they get a half decent trip, watch out for those two, because I've got them as my live long shots.
Yeah, and the Oasis horse is the one I'm actually selecting a little bit later on in my,
Which one,
in my
Dave?
video.
Sorry? Which one?
Sorry?
Which
It's
one did you say?
Obesos.
Oh, Bezos, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were making fun. I was ready to.
No, not at all. I love that horse.
Oh yeah, no,
I love that horse.
Because I watched a couple of the events leading in on tape, obviously, and the Louisiana Stakes was the one where I saw him basically for the first quarter of the race was last place.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't get off to such a piss poor start, maybe he does something at the end, because it almost looked like because he placed third in that race, if I'm correct, and
Yeah,
it was by photo. And if he has probably another 15 to 20 yards of track, which is a fair bit, but you got to remember the buildup and how behind he was. He wins that race, in my opinion.
Yeah, going away, and that's why
Yes.
I look for him. Like I said, he definitely has turn of foot, and he has that kick that will make people, sit there and go, you know what, like you said, if you give him a little bit extra track, 1.25 miles is a long way. And as you guys know, Churchill has got that long stretch, and it's going to be dynamite. I think you're going to have a blanket finish coming at the end of it.
Wow, that's that would be phenomenal. You know what? As I said beforehand, the world kind of needs it, Lucc. We kind of need these moments. It's like when people were disappointed in the finish of the Masters. Yeah, I mean, there's certain names maybe you want to see or whatever it was, but we are so clinging to something that is hopeful or engaging. We are stuck in the monotony of day to day, unlike this certainly this generation has ever seen, that we badly need excitement. And that's where we turn to some of these big sporting events. And as I said, it's a bucket list thing. It's one of the biggest things that we do in North America. It's one of the oldest things we've done in North America. And to see a blanket finish, to see us stand up and, screaming at that television or, wherever you happen to be watching this thing, we need that, Lucc. We need it bad.
There will be screaming. No question. There will be screaming like there is all the time. Listen, like you said, we're holding on to whatever we can to keep our sanity. Like you guys know, I referee basketball. I don't have any games. I haven't had a game in over a year. I've been going to these virtual referee camps just to keep my sanity and keep in touch with the game, because as a referee, when you're not in the game, you kind of forget some of the things. So I'm constantly rereading the rule books. I'm going to these camps. I'm actually still practicing my calls in front of a mirror, just so I can stay sharp, because it may not be until October again, right? And hopefully we'll be back to normal hockey in October. Leafs playing back in the Sabres division, things like that. But this weekend, with this race, I think it's going to be really exciting, and let's hope that some of my long shots come in.
Okay, well, let's do it. Saturday, 0 rain in the forecast, 24 degrees, partly sunny skies, so the track's going to be dry.
Nice.
Lucc, you have the floor.
Well, okay. Since I've got the floor, it's like I said, it's going to be tough to go against Essential Quality. So I'm going to preface this with saying I'm going to try to beat him. Okay, first and foremost. Will he be in the money? More than likely, he will be in the top 3. If he gets pinched back, then you know what? He's going to have a hell of a battle. But my 3, I like this horse called Highly Motivated. Not a favorite by any stretch of the imagination, but there's a lot that I like about this horse. I think he can, he's had some half decent results. I think he's 2-2-1. So he's been in the money. He knows how to get to the winner's circle. And so I'm going to stick with highly motivated out of the 17 hole. It's a long way to come out, but I think he'll just, because he's got that speed to the inside, I think he's going to let them go. He'll start to, I think he'll stalk for a little while. And then at the end, he'll take them on as they get to the quarter pole. To come second, I'm going to go with that Mandolin horse I really liked with the turn of foot. I think him and Obesos will be coming late. Now, which one of them will get up there? I think Mandolin is just a little bit better. And then for third, I've got Medina Spirit, which is again a horse that has done quite well. He's got some again more turn of foot. He'll be another one of these horses that stalks. Again, remember, these are the races where stalkers are great. If you're a front runner here, unless you're a Justify or an American Pharaoh that likes to go out to the lead and is just a powerful horse, class above the class, then then you got to take those horses. Is the favorite Essential Quality one of those horses? Well, he's undefeated. He hasn't done anything wrong. So again, if he proves me wrong, fantastic. If not, I don't think he's in that same class as a Justify or any of the other Triple Crown horses.
So we're probably not getting a Triple Crown winner, maybe in your opinion.
I don't see it this year.
Yeah.
I truly don't see it. There's one horse that is like a 50-1 shot that you guys have to watch out for, and I'll say it right now. And Mike, since you're a nice Christian boy, Sainthood is the name of the horse.
Sainthood.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with drink. There is a drinking horse in here somewhere.
Midnight Bourbon.
Midnight Bourbon. Yes, thank you. I'm not going to use the 9-year-old.
I'll have another.
I'll have another. No, this is no drinking win on this one. I'm going to go totally on the other side and say put it over your, put the halo on, and I'm going to go with Sainthood for you, Mike. So if you want to put a couple of bucks on Sainthood, that horse could surprise as a monster long shot.
That is the Joel Osteen pick.
Yes, that's the Joel Osteen pick, right? And as he says, I like to start off with a little joke for you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. God, there's some funny names in here. Like I love horse names, and
yeah,
because you know this world, when you're picking these names. There's only so many letters, correct? You can only have so many characters in.
Yeah, and it's got to be one continuous name usually, one or two continuous names.
Soup and Sandwich kills me. The fact that someone came up with the name Soup and Sandwich.
What did I write about Soup and Sandwich? He actually, that's not a bad horse, Mike. Another one of those horses, dynamic one in Soup and Sandwich. I had made a small note about, and again, because there's 20 horses. Some of these horses are really good, and that's another one where you don't discount, right? He could be dangerous too. I know it's a funny name.
Yeah. Oh, besos in Spanish meaning kisses. Or kisses.
Yeah.
Is actually what that means. But Midnight Bourbon, but the Hot Rod Charlie, some people really seem to be all worked up about this.
That's a great horse. That's a great horse and a great story, right? He told the story yesterday.
Magnificent. Yeah. Incredible story.
And he could win. Like I said, he's another one who could win. The one thing about Soup and Sandwich, like I said to you, he's a speed horse, right? He may be the pace setter. If he gets out early and they just let him go, he could steal the race, right?
Wow.
That's the thing about Soup and Sandwich. I don't think he'll be able to go because there's too many other fast horses, right? But that's so you watch, like I said, I always come back to these horses that if they get out to the lead and they can slow it down and do their own pace on a dry track that's fast. And Dave, some of these horses, they get out there and they just like being by themselves. They'll just go, right?
Wow.
Because if they don't feel any pressure, they don't feel the stress. So to them, they feel like they're just going for another morning workout if they get out to the lead because they don't see any other horses.
And that's the key, because there's also that same notion with a 20-horse field. There's going to be some horses that are getting dirt kicked in their faces for the first time ever.
Right.
So
right. And that's a great point, right? That's a really, really good point by you. So, there's a lot of variables. Like I said, I keep looking at, so many different horses. But their post position, I keep coming back to the post position in here because they can get, Known Agenda. I mean, it's one of the favorites, but he's coming out of the 1 hole, right? Yeah. And the 1 hole hasn't won a Kentucky Derby since I think 1986 with Ferdinand, right? And that's a long time ago. Like I said, if you're in that number 1, you think, oh, I'm on the inside. I got all the great, I got a great chance. You got to get out because I mean, all those horses are coming inside, right? You got 20 horses that are going to be filtering down by the first quarter.
Yeah, you get pushed. Yeah.
And they get pushed and bumped. And, Mike, you're in a crowded subway. Well, you haven't been on a subway since Christ was a carpenter, but if you're on a crowded subway and you're getting pushed and banged around, it's not fun, right?
Well,
that's what they feel.
I can tell what you're describing. If anyone's been to Boston, this is what happens when you leave Logan Airport. When you go into the tunnel, there's like 20 lanes, and then all of a sudden it goes down to 2.
Right.
So it's going to look very similar. It's so great to see you. I know we have to run, but this has just been a bright spot seeing your face here today for thousands.
Well, like I said, I'm glad to see you're back and everything's going well for you. And David, as always, it's always great to see your mug. I don't know how you get that great hair because I haven't had a haircut in 9 months. I mean, you must have some insight to a barber somewhere. In
Floby. Remember the Floby?
Oh, is it Floby? Okay.
Yes, that's what he uses.
Either that or Irene's doing one hell of a great job, and she should, take up a new profession.
And you nailed it there with Irene.
Well, listen, guys, it was great seeing you. Let me tell you, and again, I love the listening, and we'll see what the bag has to say tomorrow.
Yeah. He will. He's very jacked about it, by the way. He's pretty excited.
And you've got Stephen Rapp coming on, obviously tomorrow again, right?
There you go.
And
yeah, he's older than most horse racing fans too.
I'll be hearing him today on the parlay for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it'll be great to catch up with him and hear what he has to say about all, especially with Bill C218. That's a whole nother.
Yes, it is.
Segment of your show, because I mean that's going to change the way Canadians bet on every event, right?
Every event.
Yeah, and so I'm sure when you talk to Jim Lawson next time, I'm sure he's going to be really pumped about that. And
that's the one thing that has gone well for him.
Well, hopefully I'll get to meet him face to face when I get to Woodbine. Maybe you can say hi to it and do an introduction for me.
Once this plague is over, we'll absolutely do that. Okay,
Fratello. Guys, thank you.
All right, ci vediamo.
Ci vediamo, bello. Ciao.
Ciao. That is Tony Luccisano, our good friend, going over the Kentucky Derby. That was a nice moment for all of us here today, and a lot of information. Hope you got it down.